It was around 3 a.m. when the landline rang. Not the cell phone, the landline, the one no one really used anymore except for my mother, and only in emergencies. I jolted awake. My eyes burned as the hallway filled with the pale glow of the digital screen. David woke up he always does when I do, even unintentionally. It's just a thing with him, quiet, aware. I got out of bed, still groggy, and picked up the phone. Hello, silence. But there was something muted voices, like someone had accidentally left the phone off the hook while speaking to someone else. I lowered the volume and listened. She had the car loaded, leaving around 7. The kids will be with her. No one will suspect a thing. My spine locked. That was my mother's voice. And my father's talking about me, as if I were just a piece in some kind of plan. Who's there? I asked. More hushed murmurs I couldn't make out, and then the beep of a call ending. I walked back to the bedroom slowly, my heart pounding weird in my chest. David was sitting up in bed, watching me. Was it your mom? He asked. I think so, but she didn't speak to me. I think she accidentally left the line open. What was she saying? Strange things. Something about the loaded car, about the kids. He looked at me for a few seconds, then said, simply, "We need to pay attention." The next morning, we were getting ready to travel. 3 kids, luggage, snacks, downloaded cartoons, juice boxes, the usual chaos of a family road trip. We were heading to Linda and Ronald's ranch for Easter weekend. As always, my mom was acting enthusiastic, overly sweet, overly helpful. "Oh, honey, could you take this for us?" she asked, handing me a red bag. "What is it?" "Just some stuff for your dad. He's gonna fix the chicken coop gate. Didn't fit in our car, and yours is bigger. Would you mind?" I took it without thinking twice. After all, she's my mom. Or at least, I wanted to believe she still was. On the way back to the car, I noticed David standing by the passenger side, watching everything closely. He didn't say a word, but I know that look. And when I placed the box in the trunk, he asked quietly, "Did you check what's inside?" "No, it's just tools, right?" He didn't respond, just turned to face forward, fastened his seatbelt, and murmured, "Okay, let's see where this goes." The highway was calm that Easter Saturday. The sky was overcast. The kids were in the back seat, immersed in their own cartoon chaos. Ethan, the oldest, was laying down the rules for "Don't cross my line." Sophie ignored him. Max kept singing the same cartoon jingle on repeat, one that could drive any adult insane in under 3 minutes. David was driving. He always drives. I pretend it's out of practicality, but really, I just don't like driving long distances. I get lost in my thoughts, and I get lost in them too, easily. I glanced at him a few times during the drive. He was quiet, quieter than usual. He has that calm, reserved energy. But that morning, something was different. His eyes weren't on the road, they were on the trunk, as if what was behind us worried him more than what lay ahead. "You okay?" I asked. He nodded. Yeah, but he wasn't. Every few minutes, he checked the rearview mirror, not for cars, but for something inside, like he was monitoring an invisible threat. "You've been acting strange since yesterday," I said, trying to gently draw him out. He took his time, then said, "And you've been avoiding talking about that phone call, because..." I hesitated. I don't want to believe they'd do something like that. Maybe they were talking about something else, or someone else, or, I don't know. "You know it wasn't that." Silence. That red bag in the trunk started to take up more and more mental space. It wasn't just a box anymore, it was a question mark growing heavier by the mile. "Do they always treat you like this?" he asked, suddenly. "Like what?" "Like you're useful, not important, just useful. They're my parents." That doesn't answer the question. I exhaled deeply. Deep down, I knew what he was trying to show me. But my mind refused to accept that someone who gave me life could risk it. And yet, that phone call. I closed my eyes for a second. I could still hear my mother's voice, strategic, rehearsed. No one will suspect a thing, not with the kids in the back seat. ... I shivered, opened my eyes, looked at the rearview mirror. 3 small, innocent faces, smiling, chewing crackers, playing with sticker books, completely unaware that something was wrong. And it hit me. If something truly was inside that box, the kids would pay the price first. The car rolled forward in silence. Then David said quietly, "If anything goes wrong, I'll take the blame." I turned to him, stunned. "What do you mean, if there's something in that box?" "I'll say it was me, that you didn't know, that I forced you." "Don't say that. I'm serious." "But why?" "Because you can't see what I've already seen." "And what have you seen?" He stared out the window for a few seconds, then replied, "That your parents never protected you. They just used your trust to protect themselves." Silence. He took a deep breath and added, "And I'll protect you, even if it's from the people who should have done it first." The silence in the car wasn't peaceful anymore. It was thick, heavy, palpable. The kids were asleep now, tangled over each other, clutching stuffed animals and half-eaten crackers. The tablets had died. The cartoon noise was gone. All that remained was the sound of tires on the road and the quiet pressure building between us. That's when I saw the sign, "Gas station and diner to 1.5 miles. Want to stop there?" I asked, not even sure why. Maybe to breathe. Maybe to shake off the weight in my chest. Or maybe because something inside me wanted that box to just be a box. "Yeah," David said. We pulled into the station. It was small and run down. Bathrooms in the back, a dusty shelf with off-brand snacks, a coffee machine that looked like it hadn't worked since 2005. The kids woke up slowly. I took them to the bathroom, Clara dragging her flip-flops, Max clutching his bear, Ethan already complaining about the heat. "Wash your hands. Don't touch anything disgusting," I said automatically. Meanwhile, David stayed behind at the car, or so I thought. When I came back, he was just closing the tailgate, stepping away from the rear of the SUV. He looked at me like nothing had happened. But I know that look. It was the same look he had years ago when he found out a coworker was embezzling money and trying to pin it on him. The look of someone who's seen the full picture and now has to decide what to do with it. We got in the car. The kids were restless again. Tablet, juice, snack, complain. I fastened my seatbelt, turned to the front. "You okay?" I asked. Barely above a whisper. "Yeah," he said, but something had shifted. His voice wasn't defensive anymore. It was ... resigned. We drove in silence for about 10 minutes. Then he said, almost like thinking aloud, "They didn't want us to see it." "See what?" He sighed. "The box, it's sealed inside, double bottom. Black tape underneath, on the inside." "And did you open it?" "No, but a paper fell out. Looked like a receipt or a note. Crumpled, shoved in the corner." "What kind of paper?" He reached into his pocket, hesitated, then pulled out a torn, wrinkled piece of paper. He handed it to me. It was in red ink, my mother's handwriting. Short, direct, tracking 8901 TXRJ, guaranteed delivery if unopened. She can't suspect a thing. It's already been paid. The ground dropped out from under me. Oh my God. I threw it out at the station. Didn't want the kids to see. But the tape, the box has a false bottom. "You're sure?" "Absolutely." I sat there, elbows on my knees, hands covering my face, trying to breathe. But the air tasted wrong now, like betrayal soaked in chemicals. "I don't know what to do. There's still time," he said. "Time for what?" He looked at the GPS, then the road. Then he said in a tone I'll never forget, to not go, to not deliver anything, to stop letting people who say they love you use you. We were just 27 minutes away from my parents' ranch. I knew that because the GPS said Suin, that calm, detached voice, as if we were headed to a regular family lunch, not straight into a minefield. The kids had dozed off again, and the silence was loud. My chest was tight. My thoughts were spinning in loops. What if I'm overreacting? What if it's a misunderstanding? What if I'm wrong? But the voice I was trying to silence whispered something else. What if it's worse? That's when David said, now what? The exit, right there, that dirt road. Take it. But he looked at me, not angry. Something deeper, urgency, wrapped in quiet pain. Trust me now. I turned the wheel, without thinking, without questioning. And it was like I broke a spell. The dirt road was narrow, lined with dry grass, stones, and silence. No signs, no names, just a road that didn't lead to them. You know where this goes? I asked. He shook his head. Nope. Then why are we going? Because it's not there. Simple as that. Because it's not there. We drove a few minutes. The sound of gravel under the tires was the only thing anchoring us to the moment. Then David pulled into a small clearing under a crooked tree. Stopped the engine. Silence. Wait here, he said. Where are you going? To check. Just check. He got out. Opened the trunk. The sound of my children's soft breathing filled the SUV like a sacred shield. Through the side mirror, I saw David putting on gloves, the kind he keeps in the glove box. He moved with precision, calm, like someone who'd already seen enough. Then he gave me a signal, a small nod. Come, I can't. You need to see. I stepped out of the car like walking into a courtroom. Each step felt like I was dragging the weight of every birthday, every chore, every yes I said, just to keep the peace. He had the red bag open. At first glance, it looked harmless. Old tools, a rag, some duct tape. But then he peeled back the false bottom like he already knew where it was. Beneath it was a rectangular package wrapped in black plastic, sealed, tight. 2 smaller bundles next to it, all labeled, all deliberate. There was a faint chemical smell, not strong, but enough to say, this wasn't legal. I didn't ask what it was. I already knew. Not because of the look, not because of the smell, because of the instant collapse inside me, like my childhood had just fallen apart at my feet. They used us, I whispered. They used our kids. David didn't answer. They knew we wouldn't open it. They knew I wouldn't question it, because I'm the obedient one. They counted on that. I stared into the trunk, and all I could think was, if we had crossed that border and been stopped, it would have all been on me. I closed my eyes, took a breath, and something in me shifted, cold, final, unshakable, as we made our way back down the dirt road. The world outside seemed quieter than before. The kids were sleeping again, tucked under their blankets, heads slumped together like nothing in the world could touch them. But inside me, nothing was asleep. It wasn't fear, it was recognition. I wasn't just looking at a crime in the trunk. I was looking at the culmination of a lifetime of signs I had spent years explaining away. Growing up, my mom used to say I was the easy daughter, not because I was happy or lively, but because I didn't cause trouble. I got everything right. Didn't argue, finished schoolwork early, organized my toys, got good grades. My sister Vanessa was the difficult one. She slammed doors, yelled, broke things, but she got the best gifts. She got forgiven faster. She was called special. And me, I got responsibility. By age 9, I knew how to pay bills. At 11, I ran the register at our family's bakery during school breaks. At 13, I was the little adult who used her allowance to cover utilities. At the time, I thought they were proud of me. Now I know, it was convenience. Being useful was the only form of love I truly knew. I remembered the first time I ever asked for something just for me, a school trip. My mother replied, "Sweetheart, we don't have extra money for luxuries. If it were for something helpful, sure, but just for fun." And then she added, "You've always been so mature. I didn't expect you to ask for something like this. I apologized. I was 14. I apologized for wanting something that wasn't about serving someone else. And that's how I learned. In our home, love came with an invoice. The car now rolled through a side road. The GPS was off. We weren't following a map anymore. But for the first time, that lack of direction felt like freedom. David was silent, but steady. His hands gripped the wheel, his jaw tight. He didn't say, "I told you so." He didn't have to. Because while my parents raised me to serve, he was the first person who ever made me feel safe. I remembered one night early in our marriage when I lost my first job and came home crying. My father had said, "You can't stop working. We count on your help around here." But David said, "She's not a safety net. She's your daughter. She's allowed to fall apart sometimes." It was the first time anyone had given me permission to break, but I didn't take it, because I still believed being loved meant being useful. Until now, until that road, until that trunk, until I realized they never chose me, they used me, as a daughter, as a middleman, as a buffer. And now they were trying to use my children, too. I started to cry, not from sadness, but grief. Grief for the mother I invented in my mind, for the father I kept defending in silence, for the family I pretended still existed. They were never real. And sitting in that passenger seat, glancing back at my sleeping children, I knew, this ends with me. This cycle dies right here. Even if I have to burn every bridge they ever built to reach me. We got home late that afternoon. The sky was streaked in red, like the day itself was exhausted. The kids went inside first. I hugged each of them tighter than usual. I finally understood that hugging was also a form of shielding. David and I were in sync now. We didn't need to talk. He grabbed a new pair of gloves. I took a plastic tote and repacked parts of the box, leaving the contents more visible, but not too obvious. We weren't looking to provoke. We were looking to make it clear. We knew. In the car, everything was still. No music. The porch light was already on, even though it was still daylight. The house looked smaller now, worn, faded, like it had shrunk the moment I stopped trying to fit inside it. David got out first and opened the trunk, took the box carefully, like it was evidence. I followed. We walked to the front door, the same one I used to ring with excitement, or guilt, or obligation. This time, I just set the box down on the step. I didn't ring the bell, didn't knock, didn't say, "We're here." Just turned and walked away. David locked the car. We sat there for a moment, still not talking, just breathing. Then he said, "They know we know." And I said, "And now they know it's over." Later that evening, the phone rang. It was her, Linda. Her voice was sugar-coated fake, smiling over something poisonous. "Sweetie, you've scared us so much. We didn't know what happened. Are you okay? Why didn't you come to the party?" I said nothing. Ronald was about to call the cops, just in case. We were so worried. Still nothing. We just wanted a nice Easter. That's all. ... Oh, by the way, you still have that red bag, right? Your dad accidentally left it in your trunk. That's when I spoke. Dry, cold, unbreakable. We left it on your porch. There was a pause. Long, heavy. Then she said, "Oh, ... Okay, thanks." But I heard it. The panic behind the calm, the way her breath caught, the exact second she realized. I knew. And worse, I wasn't pretending anymore. "Don't call again," I added. "Not me, not the kids." "Sweetheart, you're being No." I hung up. No screaming, no dramatic closing line, just a clean cut between two words. Done forever. My phone buzzed twice more. Missed call, Mom, missed call. Home. I didn't answer. The third time I blocked both numbers. I collapsed onto the couch, my heart still pounding, my hands still shaking. And right then, With the house quiet and my children playing down the hall, I finally understood. I didn't need revenge. I needed silence, and to never, ever go back. The peace lasted 3 days. 3 whole days of silence. No messages, no missed calls, no emotional traps, no unannounced visits. 3 days where the house felt like it was finally breathing, shedding the invisible weight it had carried for years. I let myself believe, if only for a moment, that maybe they got the message, that the boundary had been drawn, that it was real. And then came Friday. It was a normal afternoon. I had just finished work. Dinner was simmering on the stove, and I was 10 minutes from picking up the kids. My phone rang. It was the school, I answered, thinking maybe Ethan forgot his jacket again, or Sophie scraped her knee. But the administrator spoke as if everything was completely fine. "Hi. Just calling to confirm the kids were picked up by their grandparents, as requested." The world froze. The floor vanished. My blood turned cold. I couldn't form words.
"What do you mean?"
"Picked up. Yes, your mom came herself. Said you asked her to. Mentioned something about car troubles, seemed very calm. I don't remember what I said next. The next thing I knew, I was in the car, heart in my throat, hands shaking, barely breathing. David saw me racing out and understood instantly what happened. They picked them up. They what? They took the kids from school as if nothing had happened, like they were still welcome in our lives. We arrived at their house in record time. I don't remember the road, just the pounding in my chest. When we pulled up, I already knew what I'd see. The front gate was open, balloons on the porch, children's music playing softly, expensive toys all over the yard, toys they could never afford before. But suddenly, they had them. Somehow, I walked in like a storm. My children were laughing, playing, eating cake. My parents acting like it was a birthday party, like everything was fine, like they hadn't betrayed every boundary I ever drew. My mom was slicing cake. Ronald was on the floor, building a Lego tower with Max. They didn't even flinch when I appeared. "Sweetheart, so glad you came. They missed you. We just wanted to do something special, break the tension, ... I scanned the room like it was a movie set. Nothing felt real. Everything was a performance. The food, the toys, the music, the joy, it was all weaponized affection. I knelt down and picked Max up, turned to Sophie and Ethan. "We're leaving now." "But Mom," I didn't even get to now. "But Grandma said we could sleep." "No." My mom stepped forward, smiling like she was offering a poisoned apple. "Let them stay just tonight, sweetheart. ... Let's talk, reset things." "No." She reached out. I stepped back, and I spoke with the clearest voice I'd ever found in my life. "You will never see my children again." The mask cracked. For a second, I saw her true face, not the doting grandmother, but the woman who believed she could always win. She tried to smile again. "You'll calm down, you always do." "No, you used my kids. You endangered them. And then you used them again to bribe your way back." She opened her mouth, probably to deliver one of her classic lines. "You're being dramatic. Family matters. You'll come around." But instead she said, "They'll come back to us. They always do." She said it like a fact, like a prophecy. But this time, I knew she was wrong. That night, David and I sat on the floor of our bedroom in silence. No arguments, no second guessing, no maybe we overreacted. Just this quiet truth between us. We were done. I looked at him and said, "I want out of this city, this state, this orbit." He nodded like he'd already made the same decision hours ago. "North Carolina. My company still has a position there." "Let's take it," I said. No big scene, no bags thrown on the bed, just a quiet plan to burn the bridge and never look back. Not out of hate, out of self-respect. The mountains greeted us like guardians. The air smelled like pine and promises. The kids settled into their new school. David's parents lived just 15 minutes away and they actually wanted to help. We didn't tell anyone. No goodbyes, no address change, just disappeared. Not in a dramatic starting over kind of way, in a we deserve peace kind of way. For the first time in my life, my phone didn't feel like a threat. There were no guilt-laced voicemails, no emotional blackmail in the form of emojis and question marks, just silence. And it was beautiful. Until one day, it rang. Blocked number. I ignored it. Later, I checked the voicemail. It was Ashley, my cousin. "Hey Rachel, your mom's been asking about you. She says she doesn't know where you are. She's really upset. Says you just cut her off out of nowhere. I don't know what happened, but family matters, you know?" I deleted it. Didn't call back. Didn't explain, because if she needed to ask, she wasn't ready to understand. 6 months passed. New routines, new friends, stillness, laughter, the kind of peace that feels earned. Then one day, an email from Vanessa. Subject, emergency. Please read. I hovered over the trash icon, but curiosity won. I opened it. One long, messy, frantic paragraph barely punctuated. The summary: Ronald and Linda were arrested, trying to cross the border. No scapegoats this time. No red box in someone else's trunk. Just them in their car, with what they used to call just something to help with the debt. They were caught, charged with possession with intent to distribute and attempting to cross an international border with controlled substances. Took a plea deal for years each. Not life, but not nothing. The email ended with a plea. They need a lawyer. They need help. Please, Rachel, you have to put the past aside. I hit reply, and I typed, I did show up once. I'm not doing it again. And I meant it. I didn't need revenge. I didn't need apologies. I just needed distance, peace, and a future where I wasn't someone's cleanup crew. My kids are growing. David sleeps better. And I finally don't translate guilt into silence. If you ask me today whether I regret the boundary, the answer is simple. Not for 1 second. But you tell me. Did I go too far or not far enough? Let me know in the comments. And if you're new here, subscribe. There's more to come.